Stop what you're doing right now. Because what I'm about to reveal is the reason why 99% of people will die without ever living a single day that was truly their own. And if you're here, awake at 2 in the morning, replaying every choice you've made, and wondering why your life feels like it belongs to someone else, then listen carefully. This may be the most important half hour of your existence. Look around you. The stranger sitting next to you on the bus, the coworker across from your desk, maybe even you, living inside someone else's dream while their own soul rots away in silence. Every morning your alarm rings, and it isn't even your alarm. It belongs to your job, to your boss, to the system that demands your obedience. Every day you follow rules written by faceless hands that care nothing for you. And every night you close your eyes knowing you've wasted yet another day playing a role you never auditioned for. But what if I told you there was a key to escape this invisible prison? A key forged 5 centuries ago in the shadows of power, in words so dangerous that they turned the author into a symbol of ruthless strategy for all of history. Niccolò Machiavelli. He didn't write The Prince to help clerks climb the corporate ladder. He wrote it to reveal how men could seize their own throne in a world designed to keep them kneeling. You've been told conformity is safety, that belonging is happiness, that the script of life, school, job, marriage, mortgage, retirement, death, is meaning itself. But Machiavelli whispers a darker truth. The script was never written for your happiness. It was written for their comfort. You are playing a game that isn't yours, a game where you never even touched the pen that wrote the rules. How many of your choices are truly yours? The hour you wake, dictated by obligation. The clothes you wear, sculpted by fashion and expectation. The food you eat, sold to you by marketing. Even your dreams, filtered by what others decided it was realistic. You are given 1,000 brands of the same product and told you are free. Meanwhile, your life is indistinguishable from every other obedient soul shuffling toward the grave, and you wonder why you feel hollow, why you feel restless, why you feel trapped. Because you are. Education taught you to raise your hand for permission, to sit in lines like livestock, to wait for instructions and never ask why. Work reinforced it with dress codes, performance reviews, and deadlines that measure your compliance more than your genius. Society rewards your obedience with gossip about anyone who dares step out of line. And the result? An army of walking corpses, polished and smiling, who forgot they ever had a pulse of their own. Machiavelli once said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." But what if there are no men around you? What if you choose to think for yourself? Most people fear standing alone more than death. They will cling to the herd even as the herd runs straight off the cliff. Better to be wrong together than right alone. That is the silent creed of the masses. But ask yourself this: the career you're in right now, did you choose it because it burned inside you? Or because it was safe? Because your parents approved? Because it would look good on paper? Your routines. Do you scroll endlessly through social media each morning because you want to, or because everyone else does? Do you consume the same shows, echo the same opinions, wear the same masks as your circle, because you're free, or because you're terrified of being different? And relationships, how many do you hold not out of love, but out of obligation? How many conversations are performances instead of truth? How many nights do you fall asleep knowing the person beside you doesn't see your soul, only your compliance? You already know the answers. The conventional path promises safety, but delivers mediocrity. It promises belonging, but delivers conformity. It promises happiness, but delivers numbness. It promises meaning, but delivers emptiness. And the tragedy? Most never realize they're trapped. They blame money. They blame circumstance. They blame fate. They think fulfillment is just one more paycheck away, one more house, one more relationship. They are trapped not by chains, but by illusions. They keep trying to optimize someone else's game instead of creating their own. True life begins the moment you choose to betray the script. But betrayal takes courage. It means disappointing people who never truly cared for you. It means facing the silence of standing alone. It means carving your own path when the crowd is screaming for you to return. The weak call it selfish, the wise call it sovereignty, and the rare few who dare it, those are the ones the world remembers. But independence is not isolation. Strategic independence is not burning bridges. It's learning to stand strong enough alone that when you choose to engage, you do so from power, not desperation. When you no longer need validation, you start offering value. When you stop trying to fit in, you start standing out. When you stop following, you start leading. Imagine a room where everyone nods along to a terrible idea. Most stay silent to avoid conflict. A few speak up, but do so nervously, desperate for approval. The truly self-reliant man, he has already done his work. He speaks with conviction, not to impress, but because his judgment is his own. And the room listens, because independence commands respect. Self-reliance is not a fantasy. It is concrete. It means cultivating your own sources of knowledge instead of swallowing whatever the crowd consumes. It means defining success by your own measures instead of chasing hollow trophies. It means having enough financial independence to walk away when a situation demands your soul as payment. It means being so emotionally grounded that you are not a slave to reassurance. It means being so intellectually sharp that you can form opinions no one else dares to voice. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." The world respects strength, not excuses. It is only when you operate from your own judgment that those who matter recognize your authenticity, and those who don't are forced to respect your power. Ironically, the more you stand alone, the more others want to follow. Leaders are not born. They are made by the refusal to kneel. The paradox of power is this: when you no longer need the world comes to you. In negotiations, it is priceless. When you don't need the deal, you get the best terms. When you're prepared to walk away, they scramble to hold you. When you stand rooted in your own worth, the room bends to you without force. This is not manipulation. It is clarity. It is the natural gravity of someone who knows himself. Opportunities don't need to be chased when your path burns bright enough. People don't need to be convinced when your conviction speaks louder than words. Results are not begged for. They are inevitable when you walk your own line. But there is one barrier that keeps most men from this path: fear of risk. The greatest risk in life is avoiding all risks. Every invention, every revolution, every act that bent history came from someone who dared the unknown. But there is a difference between reckless gambling and calculated power. The fool jumps blind. The strategist studies the terrain, anticipates outcomes, prepares for contingencies, and then moves with ruthless precision. Fear of risk is nothing but fear of responsibility. Playing safe allows you to blame others for your stagnation. Risk forces you to own your failures as much as your victories, and most would rather rot as victims than stand as authors of their fate. Machiavelli warned, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." Fear here is not cruelty. It is competence. It is decisiveness. It is the respect that comes when others know you are not paralyzed by uncertainty. Every risk you take, even those that fail, forges armor around you. Every setback becomes fuel. Every misstep becomes data. Every scar becomes a weapon the timid will never wield. Think about what you fear most. Financial ruin? You are already enslaved to a system that robs your true value daily. Social rejection? You are already surrounded by people who don't know you. Failure? You are already failing if you live beneath your own potential. The true nightmare is not risk. The true nightmare is reaching the end, having never discovered your power. The coffin will not care that you played it safe. The graveyard is filled with people who never truly lived, and their ghosts scream one truth into the silence. Safety is the slowest form of suicide. So let us strip away the illusions. Risk is not the enemy. Mediocrity is. Uncertainty is not your problem. Complacency is. The unknown is not what you should fear. The known limitations of your current life are the true chains around your throat. And if you feel them tightening, good. That suffocation is the reminder you need. The cage was never safety. It was execution in slow motion. The strategist approaches risk differently. First, he defines what he truly wants. Not vague dreams, not polite ambitions. Precision. For vague goals create vague results, and vagueness is death to power. Then he dissects the risks one by one. He writes the worst-case scenarios in black ink, stares them in the face, and asks, how likely is this really? Most fears dissolve under the blade of scrutiny. Monsters shrink when dragged into the light. The wise then build contingencies, not because they expect to fail, but because preparation turns fear into confidence. The fox recognizes traps. The lion breaks through wolves. To walk the Machiavellian path, you must be both. Then comes the action, not recklessness, but small deliberate moves, one calculated risk at a time. Each success builds momentum. Each failure builds armor. Each attempt forges capacity for greater battles ahead. And when the moment for boldness comes, you do not hesitate. You strike, you move, you seize. Because the truth is simple, perfect timing never arrives. Perfect certainty is a myth. The strategist accepts this. The coward waits forever. But the final test is not merely avoiding conformity or embracing risk. It is forging your own path in a world that demands your obedience. This is where the masses fall silent, because here you must face yourself. What do you truly want? Not what society told you to want. Not what your parents fantasized for you. Not what earns applause at dinner parties. What would you chase if you could not fail? What would you build if no one was watching? What would make you feel alive enough to forget what day it was? Most cannot answer. They have been conditioned for so long that their authentic desire lies buried under rubble. Sometimes you must dig back into childhood before the world told you to be realistic, to remember what your soul once burned for. This is no one-time revelation. Your path evolves, your compass shifts, but if you listen closely, there is always a voice, quiet but relentless, telling you where you belong. Ignore it at your peril. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. This is your blueprint, cunning to navigate the snares of life, courage to face the predators. Without both, you will lose your way. Audit your life with merciless honesty. What parts of your daily existence serve your authentic vision, and what parts are nothing but chains disguised as comfort? Which relationships nourish you, and which drain you? Which routines are fuel, and which are poison? You cannot chart your course if you refuse to see where you stand. Then identify your unique arsenal, your strengths, your skills, your instincts, your way of thinking, your interests, the obsessions that seize your attention without effort, your values, the principles you would rather bleed than betray. This trinity forms the backbone of your path. Anything that contradicts it is a trap. Do not wait for sweeping revolutions. Start small. 1 hour each morning for the work that matters. One project on the side that builds into something greater. One conversation that cuts through performance and touches truth. Small steps taken consistently outweigh grand gestures abandoned. 1 page a day becomes a book. One daring act each month becomes a lifetime of victories. And define success by your own terms. Society will tempt you with shallow trophies. Money, recognition, applause. But ask yourself, what does winning look like to you? Freedom of time? The ability to walk away from anything that violates your principles? Impact so sharp the world cannot ignore it? Or fulfillment so deep that each day feels like it belongs entirely to you? Whatever it is, carve it into stone. Measure yourself by it, not by what the herd worships. Feedback, too, must be yours. Bosses, critics, algorithms, gossip. They will all try to measure you by their scale, but their scale was never built for your throne. Create your own loop of judgment. Did today move you closer to your vision? Did you remain aligned with your values? Did you honor your time as the finite resource it is? If yes, you are winning. If no, adjust and strike again. And prepare for resistance. They will not applaud you. They will not celebrate your independence. They will resist. Family may sneer. Friends may whisper. Colleagues may plot. But their resistance is not proof of your failure. It is proof of your progress. Their discomfort with your freedom exposes their prison. Their attempts to pull you back are chains rattling in desperation. Let them rattle. Their opinions are reflections of their limits, not your potential. Surround yourself with a different order. Seek allies, mentors, and kindred spirits who also walk the untrodden road. If you cannot find them nearby, search in history. The greats who came before you are still speaking through their words, their works, their strategies. Learn from them until you find your own circle of lions and foxes. Above all, trust your instincts. The mind is slow, but the subconscious is ancient and fast. It processes patterns you cannot articulate. It whispers truths you cannot explain. If something feels wrong, it often is. If something feels right, lean in. Machiavelli himself mastered this balance, listening not to the noise of the crowd, but to the silent calculations that most ignore. Look at what we've unearthed together. The myth of conformity, shattered. The art of standing alone, revealed. The power of calculated risk, sharpened into a blade. The framework for charting your course, laid bare before you. And yet, all of it means nothing if you remain still. Because knowledge without action is dust. Philosophy without execution is just performance. Strategy without movement is self-deception. You can watch every lecture, read every book, absorb every word. But until your feet move, you are no closer to freedom than the one who never questioned at all. The world does not need another obedient drone. It needs what only you can give. Your voice, your perspective, your creation, your throne. But it will not be given. It must be claimed. Think of every man and woman who altered the course of history. They all shared one trait, defiance. They thought differently. They acted independently. They refused to kneel to the script. They chose the uncertainty of creation over the certainty of mediocrity. And because they did, the world still speaks their names. Your throne is not hidden in the future. It is not buried in the soil. It is not waiting in the hands of others. It appears the moment you decide to claim it. The moment you choose authenticity over approval. The moment you trust yourself more than you trust the herd. That is the coronation. That is the awakening. That is when you stop surviving and begin ruling. So the question is not whether you can. You can. The question is whether you will. Whether you are willing to disappoint the crowd to honor yourself. whether you are willing to embrace uncertainty rather than suffocate in safety, whether you are willing to stand alone, if standing alone is what it takes to truly live. Every day you delay is another day sacrificed to the false gods of conformity. Every excuse you make is another brick in your own prison wall. Every time you choose safety over authenticity, you vote against your own magnificence. And the clock is not merciful. The clock will not wait. So act today, tonight, now. Send the message. Write the first words. Build the foundation. Take the step that terrifies you. Begin the work that only you can do. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for readiness. Readiness is the greatest lie the world tells you. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in its presence. If you are still here, listening to my voice, you are already different. The herd would have clicked away long ago, but you stayed, which means the seed has already taken root. Feed it, protect it, grow it, because the next choice you make may be the first choice that is truly yours. The throne is not out there. It is within you, waiting for you to rise, waiting for you to burn the script, waiting for you to crown yourself. The question is not whether the throne exists. The question is, will you claim it? Stay, because the next lesson will not just open your eyes. It will arm you with weapons the world does not want you to possess.